Hi, Happy New Year. I am Paul Chartier, and this is Heart of Gold. Thanks for tuning in. We have Kathy Ploman with us, sharing with us a sort of new organization in Lexington, 100 Women. And I've heard of it, but tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay, great. I'm Kathy Ploman, and I am right now one of the four directors of 100 Women. And 100 Women is a very unique group. It's a women's donor group. It's by annual membership, and we give gifts, monetary gifts, to nonprofit agencies here in the Bluegrass that benefit women. And this past year in July, we distributed 80,000 thereabouts, first year efforts, to 10 agencies. A rape crisis, domestic violence, New Opportunity School for Women, organizations that take care of women.
How did you get started? Because it sounds like it's the United Way model branching off to affect ladies and women.
Yes, I was president of United Way for 9 years, and back in 2000, I think it's 2004, there was a situation with the domestic violence shelter here in the Bluegrass, and it was part of the YWCA, which does not exist anymore, and the volunteers with United Way, just due to some accountability issues, decided to hold funding, and at that time it was about $200,000 from the United Way to the domestic violence shelter, and that flagged the Kentucky Domestic Violence Association in Frankfort. That's kind of the umbrella for the whole state, and they withheld their funding of $500,000. So in a matter of few weeks, the shelter lost some considerable amount of funding.
And that's a big hit.
That is a humongous hit.
Yeah.
So it could not function and the doors had to be shut.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a good thing for the region because we need a shelter. So a woman who's one of our directors, J.D. Lester, the whole community was kind of up in arms about it. And J.D. came to United Way and said, I have an idea. It's called 100 Women. It'll be a grassroots approach to bring in monies in this transition period. So United Way, being a 501c3, thought it was great. And we worked very closely in this and took care of the admin. And
I remember this.
Yeah, we were able to give a 501c3 status to this money. The 100 Women back then raised about $160,000, which helped that bridge from closing door to getting something at least open for the time being. And then we even got involved in finding the location out on Briar Hill, bringing in Darlene Thomas. And 100 Women existed and kind of morphed into another organization called Bluegrass Women United, which was a collaborative partnership between the Community Foundation and United Way. But quite honestly, it didn't resonate like this grassroots, the tentacles that were out in the community. So it went away.
So you got this 100 women that keep following each other around.
It did go away. And so this past year, a friend of mine, Pat Gradick, who was also one of our four directors, and I were being approached by a lot of nonprofits to be part of their leadership group. Well, this leadership group was 1,000, this was 1,000. You just couldn't do them all. So what we decided was to somewhat take the United Way model, the umbrella, and to get other women like ourselves, and to take care of the agencies that take care of women. And the membership grew and grew, and we'll be hitting 100 relatively soon. And now we'll go into the next year and start that funding process again.
Do you want to stop at 100? Or
No. That was just kind of the name.
That's the, okay.
No, I'd like to add another zero.
Okay. Yeah.
1,000 women. But and as of now, really, there hasn't been that much marketing. It's really been a word of mouth.
Sure.
Friends tell friends, and we have little get-togethers around kitchen tables and bring in more women. But yeah, the concept works. I will add that women donor groups across the country are kind of they're happening, and there's probably over 500 of them across the country. So this is our own. It's not a franchise, and it's grown very fast in the past year.
And you have a structure and a board and bylaws and...
We're not our own 501c3.
Okay.
So we go through the Bluegrass Community Foundation.
Sure.
That is where our fund is housed. And they, as I said, give us the 501c3. They are our conduit. And then we house our money there, and then when the checks are written to the agencies, they take care of that for us. So we do have the 4 directors right now. As I said, we grew really fast. We will be putting together probably some of our members in some type of advisory capacity as we keep growing.
Couple spokes here. As agencies hear about this and want to request to be funded, what would they do to do that?
Well, our first milestone will be 100 women. And let me back up here. Florence Crittenden was one of our recipients, and as our community knows, they had to close their door because of the state funding and folks going there as recommendations from the state. So that was one of ours. So we will be replacing that one of that 10 because they held one of those spots. As we move forward, after we get that one in, we'll have 10. We'll look at the next milestone, like at 100 women, we'll add another agency. At 125, we can do it. It's $1,000 to be a member each year, and so that we need to accumulate that. We need it to be meaningful. We don't want to be handing out $1,000 checks. We want it to be enough that it will sustain a program or some other project for that agency.
And I was going to ask, you know, with United Way, with their scrutiny and accountability kind of changing, for you, do they request funds for a particular project or items, or how's that done?
We are going, a couple things. Out of the get-go, we had a focus group with some of the agencies that we were thinking about, and one common thread was that, you know, funding, restricted funding, really is not a positive thing for agencies, just because, you know, they know the best of how something should be done. When you restrict the funds or you designate funds, it just ties their hands up. So we are unrestricted funds. With that said, each one of our agencies must be a good giving with the Bluegrass Community Foundation, which scrutinizes, looks at all the financials. I mean,
you let them sift through,
they sift,
and if they meet their criteria, they're good enough for you.
They'll meet our criteria. So.
Well, Kathy, for women that are watching, and this is, you know, this isn't an instead of, this is in addition to, which is great that there's another organization that's going to be helping more nonprofits. So people aren't thinking, should I give to here or there? You're building this base of ladies that people could join. So for ladies watching, what do they do? How do they contact you to get involved? We
do not have a website yet. We're working on that actually with Bluegrass Community Foundation to kind of somehow have us on the link to their theirs. But as of right now, we do have an email, and that is info@lexwomen.com, or they can call call me, 420-4916, that's area code 859. One thing, Paul, you said that made me think of something I wanted to share, and that is that every spring, each member, it's obviously the first year, this past year, our members got a one sheet that listed all 10 of those agencies, and with their $1,000, they kind of spend it. In other words, they want to designate, you know, 500 to domestic violence, and the other 500 to rape crisis, and we just ask that it's no less than $100 per agency. And then the 100 Women Fund, which a lot of our members elected, gave equal distribution to all 10. But you could come in and do your total $1,000 for an agency that you supported anyway.
Which makes them feel empowered to affect.
It's like their own little foundation.
Yeah, sure.
It's like their little foundation. And that really has been one of the most attractive thing about being a 100 Women.
So as you enter your second year.
Second year, just right now, this is when we got going. So
it's still kind of new and you're still flourishing and cultivating. What are the barriers that you have right now? Well,
we do not have any operating budget, and that's a barrier, just because if we want to do anything, it's coming out of the 4 directors' pockets. And also the time. I mean, trying to manage just the roster and just communications with our members, you know, that's a challenge because we don't have any staff and we don't have any operating money. We just take no administrative cost out of anybody's funds at all. So that's a challenge.
And we hear about, you know, these movie stars, Hollywood types that have these charities, and I can't remember the recent one, but no funds have been distributed in the last 5 years. And I just think
they're sitting on it.
It's how great to have a foundation, but if you're not benefiting anybody, you know, what good are you doing anybody?
Yeah.
But there's, and you know the percent. What's of 100% raise out of a dollar, what percent is great to be distributed and donated?
Well, you know, that range is anything over 25% is frowned at. A lot of organizations do what now?
On admin costs.
On admin costs. Is that what you're asking?
Either way, yeah.
Yeah, and 12, 14, something in the teens is okay. This obviously is 0%. But yeah, this money is fluent. I mean, in other words, it's constantly coming in and going out. I mean, you know, once a year. We're not sitting on it at all.
But you're making a difference.
We are. These agencies were thrilled. A lot of funding has been cut. You've got state funding cut, national funding. You've got, you know, even your local funding is way down. So this is kind of a breath of fresh air for these agencies.
Kathy, in the last 3 minutes, how are the ladies that are involved in this? I mean, how do they feel? Are they energized by this? Are they excited about it? Or are they? I mean, what do they think about this?
They are really excited about it. I think to show how excited they are, they're bringing in their friends. You know, they're telling us, oh, have you thought about so-and-so? They all have great ideas. One of the nice things we just did, we had 2 luncheons, and we invited 5 agencies to one, 5 agencies to the other. All the members were invited. The members, the agency representatives got up and said, here's what we did with your money. And it was very emotional.
It had to be.
It was. I mean, and a lot of these women, of course, I know a lot of these agencies just from my background, but a lot of these women had no idea what these agencies did. And to see them being talked to about what good you did to my agency was just really rewarding for them.
You know, it's great to give money, and it takes money and volunteers and employees. And to have that connectivity between the nonprofit and the donors, that has got to be like heartfelt. What else can I do?
It was, and as I said, everybody was kind of tearing up because it really came home.
Well, I applaud you and the 80 or 90 other women that are involved in this, and hopefully in 2014. And I want this to be a vehicle to get you over the edge, and not that edge, the good edge of 100, and you know, blast it out. And again, in the last minute, if you could give your phone number and email again, so people can contact you.
Okay, great. Yeah, they can call me direct, and that's area code 859-420-4916. Or also, you can email it at info@womenlex.com. And I believe it's on the screen.
It is.
That's great.
Kathy, this is a great way to kick off the new year, to let people in Lexington know about some local ladies that got together that had a great idea that are impacting a lot of people in this community. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
And pass on the thanks to your
other directors,
team members as well.
I will.
Yeah,
and check us out on Facebook. I forgot to mention that.
Facebook address is
100 Women, Lexington.
100 Women. Great.
Yes.
Kathy Plowman, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
I am Paul Chartier. We'll be back in a moment with another nonprofit you've never heard of. We'll be right back.